Alright, hello. So, if you went through the last tutorial with us, you know that we managed to make a game that looks like this. Press start game, it erases that text, says unset, and that's about it, really. We're going to ignore the output down here, by the way, but basically what this says is it found an image, it entered action performed, it tried to find a new image file based on the functionality, but since nothing was set, it didn't find a file. Alright, so you have that, should throw no exceptions. Make sure you have that. If you don't, check the last video. Maybe if you comment on that video or this video, I'll see it and answer it in a timely manner. But regardless, as long as your stuff works, it's good. Alright, so let's go ahead and do this. What we're going to do in this one, we're going to be focusing on the actual window functionality itself. So let's go ahead and just write a little story. I want to come up with a little story where it's, let's say we start off at a fork in the road. So fork in road. And then from there, you can choose left or right. Left will have its own paths, and right will have its own. You know what? This is going to be a little more fun if we just do it with spontaneity. So let's forget about writing our story. Instead, just kind of write it as we're creating it. These games and the books that were similar to them, the books came first, of course, were always quite insane. They were creative and fun, but they were at times just legitimately, worryingly insane. So we can really have some fun with this one. Alright, so here's how it works. Identity, perform behavior is called every time a button is pressed. Identity is the identity of the most recent button pressed. Now you might think, okay, so that would be the name of the button right up here, right? Or this code right here. But that's not the case. Let me tell you about these things. This text is what shows up on the button, like I said before, and this code is for what this button actually does. Buttons can be correspond to 1, 2, and 3. Now, 1 is change text, 2 is change image, and each of these are for only. And then 3 is change both. So the idea is, based on what button you press, if you have a 3 button, it's meant to change both the text and the image. But if you only have the 1 on it, then it's only supposed to change the text. It won't try to adjust the image at all. This is, I mean, you can have a 3 that isn't really meant to change the image, but it's for the best to go and follow these just to have a good structure for how you're approaching your program. Alright, now, but that then says, well, if there's going to be several button 3s, and the text is just the text for the button, what's the identity? Well, the identity is actually a separate property. It's one that we access by calling a method inside of that button. So we do start dot set identity. Make sure you spell that right. I have a lot of students who will have an error because they didn't spell that properly. So set identity, and I'm just going to call this one start. You do that, compile it, run it, everything should work just fine. There should be no problems. Still won't do anything, that's fine, or do no more than it used to, but it at least should work. Alright, so now let's go ahead and work with this identity. This string identity is the identity of our button. So if we go down to quest game behavior, we go down to the perform behavior method, identity is the identity of the last button pressed. So let's use that information. If identity dot equals, remember dot equals is for any object, like a string. We don't use two equal signs for it. We use dot equals. So if identity dot equals start, because I know that's one of my buttons, that's my start button. Here's our start button. Is pressed. So if that's the case, let's go over some things for this thing to do. I'm not going to change the image just yet. We'll get that later. But let's go ahead and change the text, just to say something like game has started, just to see that it does actually work. Compile that, run it, and let's see what happens. Start game. Game has started. Perfect, right? Press it as many times as you like. It doesn't crash the program, doesn't throw any exceptions. It can't find the image file, but that's okay. It just reverts to the default image, and it will go and say game has started. All right, awesome. Now let's do something. Let's go ahead and get an image. I want to get an image for it, and to find a nice image that's free to use, let's go ahead and make a little search on a website called Pexels. Pexels.com contains a lot of free stock photos that are very useful for us. So I want to start at a fork in the road. So I'm just going to search for fork in road. Let's see what we got here. I like some of these, but I tend to prefer... Not every image will be that relevant. But I tend to prefer more natural scenes that seem like they could be out of like an old fantasy game. That's just my preference. You can choose any. A lot of these aren't really forks in the road, so that's my fault for not trying this in advance. Okay. Here, why don't we try this then? Let's just do this one. Actually, no. Let's do this one. So here's our fork in the road. I'll go ahead and download a image size. Now you notice as it's free download here, these images are usually gigantic. Especially for the fact that we're going to have a window about that big and an image that's only that big. So I'm not going to download too large of a file because resampling in Java can be a little iffy at times. Let's go ahead and download a small version of it. And let's download it not into our Banjo Songs file folder, but rather into our JavaQuest engine code. Alright, so put it into your images folder. It'll have the default in there already. We'll call this our fork. So now that we've downloaded that and we have it in our images folder, we can use it. So, to just go and restate, we want to go ahead and add an image in there. So let's go and do top.setImage. I made it very easy to understand how it approaches. And you're going to do images folder \\. Backslash is the escape sequence in a string. However, when you do \\, it just produces a backslash in the final string. It's kind of funny. So images \\, fork.jpeg. I believe it's JPE. I believe it has an E in it. I don't know for certain, but I'm hoping so. So compile and run. If it doesn't show up, then we'll remove the E, because I know some of them won't have it. Alright, so start game. Perfect. Game has started. We see our fork in the road. Alright, now, so here's where we're deciding to take paths. There are a few things to change. One, as you might have noticed, start game's still here. That's a little silly. I mean, the game has started. So let's get rid of that start game. So let's go with top. Should be the first thing before the text and image. At least I think it's better to do it this way. Top.clear buttons. Clear buttons. Compile it. Run it. So that way, when we press start game goes away. So we're no longer, waiting for the game to start. Since the game has started, let's not say that. Next, let's go ahead and get some text on here that really sets the scene a little better. Walking along your path, you come across a sign which tells you that you must make a choice. Now that's getting a little too long-winded. I mean, I still want it on there. The writing itself is wonderful, but it's too long for a line, especially with me using such a large font. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just cut it off where I want it to be cut off. Put a quote, plus sign, do another quote, next line, just keep it going. That concatenates the two strings. You can do this on two lines. That concatenates them, allows them to be there. Compile it, run it. My inattention to detail. Wait, sorry. I'm going to press it. My inattention to detail causes it to have no space right there. So let me go ahead and add that space in. And yes, I did that on purpose. Alright, let's compile that, run it. Boom. Word wrapping is automatic. I didn't have that in the original version, that's why I pointed out. I'm proud of it. So I'll save that. /in/in. So we have 2 new lines. I just want to go down a few, maybe 3. Alright, so we must make a choice. What direction will you go? Okay, let's compile it, run it. Nice. Alright, so let's do a little something more here. We should really make some buttons. I'm not going to use a new comment for that. Quest button left equals new quest button. Attach it to the top window. Let's also make it a 3. And we're going to call this go left. I'll do pretty much the exact same code, copy and paste, for go right. Let's add our 2 buttons to the screen. Compile it, run it. Perfect. Go left, go right. They don't have any functionality yet, but they are at least there. I love how quick and easy it is to do this. Alright, let's go and give them some identities. Left.setIdentity is go left. And you can do this in whatever way you want. You can make this string like go left, or it can be go left, or it could really just be left. It's however you want to do it. Right.setIdentity. Right. So right there, you know, we have our buttons made and placed on the screen. They still won't have any functionality, but everything should work just fine. Alright, awesome. So that's pretty much the start of our functionality for this program. We'll of course have to get other pictures and text for it. But that pretty much starts us off on the functionality. I'm just going to go a little bit further. One thing I like to do, something I learned in speech class, is anytime you give a presentation, it's nice if your text and your image can swap. That's usually kind of nice. They flip every time. So I'm actually going to add that in to the functionality. So if you press the start button, first thing I want to do is actually swap text and image. And I believe that's the name of it. Okay, good. Compile, swap text and image, run it. So that way, when you hit it, it's going to swap them around. I added that in pretty much because of that preference of mine. A lot of things here, the initial things I added were based on what I liked or what I wanted to do, and then I made some edits based on students' input. Not many so far. I'm right now working on one of them. Anyways, let's move on. So that's basically the beginning of our use of identity. We'll do an else if. I just want to do at least one of those 2 just to show you how it works. So let's pretend we went left. So this is if we went left. We're going to swap our text and image again. Don't you know it? We're going to clear out our buttons. And let's go ahead and have our text be something like this. You went left. This turned out to be a dangerous decision, and you were crushed by a let's say falling meteorite. That's just how life in these adventure games would go sometimes, you know? Sometimes you would choose left or right, and one of the directions would just, you know, pummel you into nothingness. It was weird. It's kind of weird. I don't know why we like them so much. Alright, so let's compile and run that just to make sure it works. Start game, you go left, gets rid of the buttons, you go left, and you're told that you died. Actually, you know, let's make that a little more clear to them. You died. Perfect. So just to make it amply obvious to the user that they died. Alright, let's carry on. So let's go ahead and add a restart button in here. At this point, this is what I really wanted to do this branch for. At this point, we're going to explain, if I can scroll up a bit, what this save as start was for. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's make a new quest button for restart. Attach to our top window, 3, and then it's going to be play again. I'm going to give it the identity of restart, and then I'm going to add it in. Pile, run, start game, go left, you died, play again. Doesn't do anything yet, but we'll make it do something. So here's something fun. If we do else if, identity.equals restart the game, we can do we could, redo everything that we did, excuse me a moment, up here, which, would be possible, but it'd be kind of frustrating to redo, all this. It'd be kind of silly. It's like, why did we have to do all that? Plus, we're going to be adding a bunch of cosmetic changes in the next video, so it would be really annoying to have to redo all of that. And what if you change this stuff? Well, it's just asinine. So let's go ahead and do something down here. We're going to use a special function, a special method in the quest window called restart. Now, if we do that, pile, run it, go left, play again, it's not going to work too well. That's because we don't have everything set up properly. Go back up to the main method where we had save as start and do top.save as start. And what that will do is that'll almost like take a picture of how our quest window looks at this line in the code. So that way when we restart, it'll return it to that picture, basically. Compile and run that. At this point, your program should have the functionality to start the game, go left, and then play again, starting right back from the beginning. So the ability allows you to just go ahead and restart the whole game over and over again, which is nice. Because, when you die, you don't want to have to close out of the game and reopen it. That's just silly. This allows you to restart it quickly and easily without too much time wasted on your end. It will work as much as you want it to. Okay, so that right there pretty much makes all the functionality that we wanted. I'm going to add more in the cosmetics in the next video, but for now, we have a working game. If you wanted to take what I've shown you so far and build your own game without any real cosmetic changes, you can. I mean, you're able to change the text and the images. You can swap them around if you like. You're able to make and change buttons. You have everything you need. Next video, though, we're going to make it a bit prettier. Join us.